Hi, everybody. Zach here from Special Olympics Maryland, and I'd like to welcome you guys to the viewing of the Unified Strength and Conditioning preseason webinar for district reps. This is the first time we are pre-recording this and then sending it out to you early instead of doing a live. So please take some time, watch this video. We will keep it as concise as we can, but do please follow up and ask questions afterward if you do have some. Just a reminder, also, we have our Polar Bear Plunge, the Cool Schools session on Thursday, February 1st from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We may be adding a fourth additional plunge, but registration is already open. If you have questions, you can reach out to Jessie Hayes. Her information is below, or you can go on our website to find additional details. If you have concerns about cost for a bus to travel and such, reach out to Jessie. Usually that's something that we can work out, especially based on the fundraising. A lot of the times, schools cover enough to really warrant getting them there to plunge to get a good experience for them. So please do reach out. Don't be afraid to ask. Additionally, if you have coaches that are interested in additional unified sports training, there's a course on NFHS. It's Coaching Unified Sports. It's a really good training, not required by us. Some districts do require it. So again, if you are a district rep that requires it, but if not, might be worth asking your coaches to take a sit down and watch, especially if you have any coaches or team managers that are students instead of adult staff. Again, we do want you guys recognizing your athlete leaders that are captains for your team. Please mark on your rosters with a little star next to whomever are your team captains. We want to recognize them, and we want to make sure we have a listing of them. Again, this kind of goes over what being a captain is. We want our team captains communicating on behalf of their teams to not only other team members, but to coaches, things that the team needs, so on and so forth. Captains should also work to keep the team on task, leading warm-ups, making sure they're hitting goals, so on and so forth. And again, it's a leadership position, so we want student athletes to be leaders of your group. Again, that can be athletes, unified partners, IEP 504. Doesn't matter what role they fulfill for your team. If you think they're a good leader and they should be a captain, acknowledge them and put them in that position to grow. Again, just a reminder on sportsmanship stuff. Again, we want our student athletes working together, not only with their own team, but other teams, to encourage our students to strive for their best and achieve personal bests across the season, win, loss, draw, whatever the outcome may be in a given sport. But again, work on fostering goal setting and support and growth as opposed to just winning and losing, for sure. The agenda for today, we're just going to cover the main typical stuff. Not a lot has changed for strength and conditioning, but we want to get through this to get you information, get the season started, and develop support for you for this season. This is me, Zach Cintron. If we haven't met before, I would be surprised. If you need to contact me, there's all my contact info. That is my cell number. If you see a New Jersey number calling you, it is very likely that it is me. And this is Meredith Tarkenton. She is our sports chair for flag football, strength and conditioning, and track and field. She has gone through track and field and flag football. This will be her first strength and conditioning. She's very much a huge asset to our team. She's been unbelievably helpful since joining at track and field in the last school year. So you'll get to know Meredith. Be on the lookout for emails from her throughout the season, and she will continue to learn more about strength and conditioning, but she has a really good understanding of how unified sports work overall. Let's talk admin stuff. This is probably the main slide that you guys care about, as usual. These are the dates throughout the season. Essentially, the winter season can be a little odd to navigate sometimes with all the holidays. It does start November 15th. It starts pre-Thanksgiving. I don't know how many schools actually start pre-Thanksgiving for winter sports for IUS. Most of you guys start after Thanksgiving and into early December. The first day that you can start having competitions for strength and conditioning, or even just internal competitions, even if you're not going school to school, is December 4th. The first day we need paperwork from you guys is December 15th. That's when rosters are due. All that is just knowing who's on your roster, what role they fill, date of birth, all those typical kind of things that we ask for on the roster. So you can get your information to your LSS manager. And then from there, they can put stuff in the GMS and start registering your student athletes. We get through the holiday season. We come back January 2nd. I think the first falls on a Monday. So everybody's probably back January 2nd or 3rd. By January 9th, roughly a week after, we need all the paperwork for competition rosters, the rating forms. We need all your coaches and volunteer paperwork done on Volunteer Hub if you have not done so already. I will do my best to pull a list of your coaches and what they need and don't need. Again, most of the Volunteer Hub stuff that they do on a 3-year to year basis, it's every 3 years. So we'll check. Some of your coaches may need stuff. Some of your coaches may be good. You may be good across the board altogether if you did stuff as a district last year. So we'll keep you in the loop. I will try to get you a spreadsheet of who needs what. Additionally, everyone advances to the state tournament for strength and conditioning. So probably worth clicking on the link for the pre-competition webinar or getting that link to your coaches sooner rather than later, because they all should be on it. It's going to be on February 8th. It's going to be a week and a half before the tournament because we have back-to-back district tournament or state tournaments after all of our district tournaments. And so we need to put it a little early, but get them that link. Additionally, February 20th is the state tournament in Worcester at the Parks and Rec Arena in Snow Hill there. Same place as last year. It was a great venue. We're really excited to be back. If there's a bad weather day, snow, ice, whatever it may be in the winter, we'll push to the following day, the 21st. Just make sure that you have all of your application for participation, your CDW forms for your athletes and unified partners. Make sure that stuff is in by at least your district tournament. We want that stuff January 9th. If it spills over a little bit, it needs to at least be in by your district tournament. If not, you may have people that are ineligible for states. Again, if you have questions, reach out to me. There's my email. If you need anything, let me know. Again, for qualifying for the state tournament for teams, 2 regular season competitions. Essentially, that's going to be your district tournament and then some sort of other cross-school competition for each school. I know for strength and conditioning, a lot of the times the district comes together weekly or bi-weekly basis. So you'll knock those out, no problem. Again, district tournaments, they just need to happen before February 2nd. Work with me on the date if you need assistance. I'm more than happy to come out and assist for your strength and conditioning district tournaments. Typically, I will bring medals and the banners and help you with the spreadsheets and keeping score calculations, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff. Just get me a date as soon as you can, and we'll get you guys taken care of. Resources. If you need any sort of resources, paperwork, information, go to our website. Here's the strength and conditioning specific page. It'll continue to get updated throughout the season. I hope to have everything strength and conditioning wise up on it by beginning of December before you guys really get rolling, hopefully by mid-November after our fall state tournaments. Again, just a reminder, since this one isn't live, typically we pause for questions, concerns, discussion, whatever it may be. If you have any of those things, please just reach out to myself and Meredith, send us an email, pick up the phone, send a text, however you want to communicate, just reach out. Forms of registration. We are going to crank through this section because this is absolutely business as usual. Application for a participation form, all student athletes need it, done. CDW, COVID waiver, all student athletes need it, done. The technicality on this one, though, is if they've already done it before, they don't need to do it again. A lot of district reps up to this point are just saying, do both every time you come in for a school year. If they did it for the fall season, both of these forms, they don't need to do either again. Just if they're a new student that didn't participate in fall IUS for the year, they will have to do at least the application of participation as a district rep. If you would like to say, hey, I want everybody doing the CDW every year again, that is up to you. The affirmation of eligibility, that's just our team roster. It's been updated in summer of 22 to reflect the roles of the athletes, Unified Partners, Unified Partner IEP 504s. Again, get this into your LSS manager and then to Meredith and I sooner rather than later, because then we can keep things rolling, make sure your students are registered. If for some reason somebody gets added after you submit this, not a big deal. Let your LSS manager know to add them to their roster in GMS. Let us know, and we will keep chugging along. Actually, don't want to skip that one. This top section that it's pointing to, if you have anybody that is coaching, team managing, paraprofessional, an athletic director that's super involved with your team, whatever it may be, make sure they get on the top section of this roster to be registered. They need to be registered on here and registered in GMS to be eligible to be on the team for states. Caveat with this that's come up before is if you have somebody that's helping with your team, a paraprofessional, let's say, that essentially helps one athlete and all they do is sit in the stands to help that athlete when they're off the field of play, they don't need to be registered. We won't provide them a lunch then, but they don't technically need to be registered. They don't technically need to do the SOMD trainings. If they're going to be in the area of competition at all, down on the gym floor, anywhere on a bocce court for winter bocce, anywhere on the track for track and field, they need to be registered on this roster and they need to do the trainings. Again, the main things that are required for coaches, team volunteers, team managers, paraprofessionals, blah, blah, blah. The Class A clearance stuff, which is multi-steps. It is some sort of volunteer application / background check. There's a minor reference form if they're under 18. If they need to do that, they can turn that in. We can also direct them to a different link as well, but it's probably easier just to go through Volunteer Hub, quite honestly, with that. It's easier for all of these. So then after that, it's protective behaviors, and then it's the COVID form. If you go to Volunteer Hub, it will link you and just chug you through 1, 2, 3 right after a row. We absolutely recommend you go to Volunteer Hub. If you click on the link, it'll take you through. Essentially, you can also look at all these slides. It'll take you step by step of how to go through and how to register and do the protective behaviors training, do the quiz, so on and so forth. That's what all these slides are. If you want to share them with your coaches, team volunteers, paraprofessionals, so on and so forth, feel free to share these slides. Again, walks you all the way through Volunteer Hub. Again, 3 things you need are the protective behaviors, some sort of either volunteer application / background check, or the minor reference form, and the CDW. A little tongue-tied there. But once all those 3 things are done, you're clear. You're good for the year. And honestly, with all those things done, you're good for 3 years. So, COMAR regulations. My famous lines for the COMAR regulation stuff is, if you have a question as a district rep on a COMAR situation, talk to your athletic supervisor for the district. Every district does COMAR stuff a little different. There's now waivers for athletes to be 2-sport athletes, so on and so forth. There's a million things going on with MPSSAA, with COMAR, with Maryland Department of Education, how this stuff works. The COMAR rules have not changed. They are, as you read them on here, they're the same. But as the years have gone on, they've evolved a little bit. Coming out of COVID, they've evolved a little bit. Please check with your athletic supervisors if you have a question. We keep an eye out for COMAR regulations or violations. We, as Special Olympics Maryland, do not regulate them. MPSSAA, Department of Ed, that kind of teamwork does. So if you have questions, I will try to help you. If not, I may redirect you again back to your athletic supervisor. Here's the district layout. If you don't know, we have 12 districts. Baltimore County was the most recent to join us, but we have 12 and we continue to grow. Again, very excited as we continue to grow further and further through the state of Maryland. And if you have questions about programming in other districts, let me know. Competition review. We're going to hit some rules and point of emphasis. Not a lot to go over here. Strength and conditioning, we haven't changed anything with since last year. We haven't done anything to it. Roster sizes are the same thing, 8 to 16 participants. The second you go over 16, you need to create a 2-team roster. If you end up in a situation where you have more than 16 but less than 8, and you can't make 2 teams, please reach out to me and we will figure that out for you. We will work with you. We will never just say, well, too bad. We will work with you. We will figure out what we need to do. The events that are offered, PT Series is the one that works outside of Group A and Group B events that every team can access to. Group A events are as listed. Group B events are as listed. And again, student athletes can compete in one from A and then one from B. In addition to Group A and B events, each school team may enter 2 pairs in the PT Series. Additionally, if you have a James M. Bennett Team 1, James M. Bennett Team 2, each one of those James M. Bennett teams can enter 2 pairs in the PT Series. The only type of rule change that I will let you guys know is from here on out, we are using powerlifting weights and everything's going to be in pounds, not kilos. We have followed the International Powerlifting Federation rules, and we still do for strength and conditioning, the powerlifting aspects of it. They always call for stuff in kilos. Powerlifting for our community program covers everything in kilos because that's just how international powerlifting happens, and we want to follow that. With that said, there is not a single high school weight room in the United States that has kilo weights. So your teams all season long are lifting in pounds because that's what all high schools have. Most gyms in the country also have pound weights. But when you get to states, we switch to kilos and student athletes get confused. We have to do all sorts of converting to get the right numbers because we have pounds coming out of districts. We're done with that. For IUS strength and conditioning, all the powerlifting, deadlift, and bench press will be done in pounds, not kilos. We're not converting anything anymore. There might be 1 or 2 things we need to modify to GMS to input that correctly so it pops up. But again, no more kilos. We're strictly pound weights for IUS. Just reminders about recruitment and stuff. If you need any sort of recruitment materials, reach out. We've done posters in the past. They've been hit or miss. If that's something that you're looking for, let me know. I still have some. I can send you some. If there's something else recruitment-wise that you think would work well for your school, let me know. If you need uniforms or equipment, there's 2 steps. Step 1 is talk to your athletic director or your supervisor of athletics. Tell your schools and your coaches from schools this is how they should do it. Go to their athletic director. Usually every high school sport is in some sort of rotation for new uniforms every 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know what their school does. It's different school to school. Talk to their athletic directors. If for some reason there's no funding available or there's an issue and they desperately need new uniforms or a stationary bike or jump ropes or whatever it may be, reach out to me. We'll see what we can do. I can't guarantee anything. Of course, we have a pretty strict budget as well. But with that said, we will do our best to support however we can. Additionally, with that, before I go into the stationary bikes and inventory of equipment, if somebody knows far enough ahead that they're going to be in need for some sort of equipment or uniforms coming down the line, potentially next year, the year after, and their athletic department can't provide that for them, let us know. We can also look into grants that could potentially fund that. A lot of the times those are public information that they can do it themselves as coaches or athletic directors. But we can also work to see if we can do that on our end of Special Olympics. With that said, the equipment typically that comes up that's needed are, hey, our stationary bikes are done, or we have no jump ropes that are high quality enough for competition. Stationary bikes, this link for Target has stationary bikes for $130. They're exactly what we need. They keep distance, they keep time. They're really solid. They fold up. They're good for travel. Jump ropes, I placed an order for a bunch from Dick's Sporting Goods last year. Pretty easy to get. The uniforms. Uniforms are same deal as usual. If you go onto our website, you can get the logo for uniform should you need it. The biggest thing is it needs to have your school or team name on the top part of the uniform. And then it needs to have the IUS PIL logo with Special Olympics Unified Sports on it, either on the chest, on the back of the neck, or on the side of the sleeve. Same thing. It's been like this forever, and we're going to continue with that. One thing before we go into the last slide there, do want to remind you when it comes to uniforms, make sure your student athletes, when they're participating, are in the appropriate uniforms. The biggest thing that I tend to see is because it happens during the school day, they put on jeans to go to school and then they don't pack anything else to change into for participating during school time or after school hours. If they're going to wear jeans to school, if they're going to wear leggings to school, make sure they pack athletic shorts, sweatpants, whatever approved uniform option that you want to do. It just can't be jeans. It can't be leggings. That's the main thing. Make sure they have sneakers. Nobody's showing up in boots because it was cold weather outside and that's all they wore that day. Remind your team that sometimes as an athlete, they need to be proactive in packing athletic clothing to participate. At the state tournament, if people show up in jeans or leggings or boots or things that are not appropriate uniform, they will not be allowed to compete. We are cracking down on that this year. We've been lax in the past, and it's not fair to everybody else that wears the correct uniform to participate. With that said, that's the end of the rainbow here. That's it. Again, not a lot of updates because we haven't changed anything. But if you do have questions or concerns or have an issue in your district, please reach out. Reach out sooner rather than later. We will start reaching out about strength and conditioning post November 15th-ish when the winter season begins. Until then, thank you guys for everything you do. Thank you for everything you guys will do across the winter season. And again, if there's anything that you need, please reach out to myself or Meredith and we'll get you taken care of. All right. Enjoy the rest of your fall season, and we will see you guys in the winter season when it begins.